Well, we were literally in the exact epicenter of the fire as it started. Um, oh, that's actually a view from my porch. um,
Yep, this is the
that's the
video
house
you
one
shot.
below us
Yep.
on fire. Yeah. We My neighbor called and he said a fellow named Robert Trinkteller was about 5 houses up. You have to understand the Palisades is a very almost like an old-fashioned neighborhood. Sidewalks, all the neighbors know each other. We all have each other's phone numbers, and people are very aware that we're in a fire zone. And in fact, I had said yesterday, well, day before yesterday, to my wife Sarah, I said, "Oh, that guy on the hillside hasn't cut down his grass. They got to cut down that brush because there's going to be a fire." And that's the person who didn't cut that brush was the person, that fire you're looking at right now. That's my pool right there. That was the brush below us that was not cut. And so we went out. I had a record of the call. In 17 minutes later, we were evacuated with the clothes on our back. Our garage door wouldn't open because the wind was so bright it torqued the door, and we finally got out. When we got to the bottom of the hill, I said, "Oh my God, we have a neighbor who's 94 years old who has dementia." And I said, there were no cars in the driveway, and we would go over and help him get in his chair, sometime if he fell with the caregiver. But I knew he was in the hospital, and I don't know, God was on his side. I decided to call his son in Massachusetts and said, "Hey, Francis, just to be sure, your dad's still in the hospital, right?" He said, "No, he got home last night. And there's a new caregiver, and I don't have the number." And they wouldn't let us back up. So I finally got through to 911 and said, "A welfare check, you got to go check on this guy." Well, there was a miscommunication. And I called my neighbor who hadn't evacuated yet. He was on his roof, fighting his fire. He'd been on my roof. He'd hosed my roof down. I said, "Go in and check on him." He went. He said, "The door's open. There's nobody here." He went in and yelled. He said, "No, nobody here." I said, "Look, just go behind the pantry. There's a little room. We can see him during the day. He likes to sit there because there's a garden." He went in and found him. He'd been left alone. Okay. And it turned out the fire department made the new caregiver leave, and she just does what she was told. They said, "We're coming back for him." Well, they hadn't come back for him. I'm hoping that they would have, but there was so much chaos. It was like an inferno. Every house was on fire around us, and he got him out, and the house burned down about an hour later. He would have been in there alone. It was just. And then Robert called us and told us that house had gone, and the house below that, and the house on the other side. And then at 11:49 last night, all the smoke alarms in our house alerted our phones that our house that we had just renovated for 3 years and had just finally moved into about 3 months ago. All the smoke alarms are going off, so that's hardly a good sign. So I'm not sure, but it wouldn't make any difference because the whole street's burned down. So I mean, even if you go back to your home, look, we knew what was coming, and when we were out on our driveway, I looked and the smoke was so black. There's a house across the street was on fire. The house next door was on fire, and all the black smoke was down there, and the schools are down there. And I said to Sarah, "We can't go down there because they're trying to evacuate the schools, and we'll just be in the way." And here's the thing that's so important. People have got to evacuate when they tell you to evacuate, because